Hello YouTube, this is Asatsu 5 and today I'm reviewing my Randall made knife, model number 16/7 SP number 1 special Fidel. This is an interesting knife. Let me pull it out of the sheath. It's kind of a combo design knife. It shares the same model name as the dive knife, but it has the handle, like from the handle up, I mean not the handle, but the blade up is a more of a all-purpose fighting knife blade shape, and the hilt takes a lot of its design from the dive knife. You'll also notice right here, not only that it's made in Orlando, Florida, but it has an S, which means that it's made from stainless steel. The steel that they use to make this knife is 440C. Almost all of the Randall made knives are hand forged. Those like two or three knives are not hand forged from their line, but the rest of them are, including this one. And so some things I'd like to talk about. One is this knife shares the same model number name as the dive knife, but it doesn't come with the dive sheath. It comes with a standard all-purpose fighting sheath. Cool thing about this sheath is the build quality is good, or excellent even. Has a good pocket that's fitted for this India stone. It fits in there really nice and tight. Something to say about India stones, they're not really from India. They're a synthetic stone made in America. At least the Norton ones are made in America. I think most of them are in general. And they're just an oil stone, synthetic oil stone. They're not necessarily cut, they're made. And I was a little disappointed about the sheath because I was hoping that it would come. Well, I wasn't hoping. I knew what sheath I was getting, but I would kind of wanted the beeswax impregnated sheath so I could swim with it and dive with it. Although even if it did come with the beeswax sheath, this standard belt loop would have proved a little bit problematic with mounting it on my BCD, because my BCD doesn't really have a skinny belt on it. Although I could probably rig it with some paracord and some D-rings and such. Sheath is good build quality, but I wish it would have came with the the beeswax impregnated sheath. So that's enough about the sheath. Also, one more thing about the sheath. The sheaths of Randall made knives are often considered equally as collectible as the knife themselves. Now the knife itself, a stainless steel, 7-inch blade length. It does come with a sharpened false edge. It's not razor sharp, but let's see if I have something to demonstrate this on. Got a coupon here, and it is sharp, but it's not like razor sharp, but it will cut. Something to note about false edges: all false edges are sharp. If it's not sharp, if the bevels do not meet, it's called a swedge. A swedge has no cutting capability. A false edge does have a cutting capability. So that's something to keep in mind. The fit is really good, fit and finish. I have a little bit of discoloration on the brass guard. It's a double guard, which is cool, but that's to be expected because it's brass and it will tarnish and such. What do I think about this knife? Well, to tell you the truth, which I try not to use that terminology very long because I always tell you the truth, I'm a little bit disappointed. First off, if you saw my unboxing video, you see that the knife was not razor sharp. It did not shave, and for a $555 knife, I really think it should have been razor sharp, and it wasn't. Although it's worth mentioning that the knife cut paper extremely well. I could do the curl cuts or the curve cuts into paper where you cut a S shape into the paper. That's a semi-difficult cut to do on paper, and it cut paper extremely well. It just wasn't razor sharp. What else? the edge retention on 440C isn't quite what I'd like, but you know, it's not a deal breaker. But the thing that I don't like about combat utility knives in general, Randall will call this a fighting knife. I don't necessarily consider it to be a fighting knife. I consider it to be a combat utility knife. The problem with combat utility knives is that they're all made on a compromise. They're jack of all trades, master at none. They can do a lot of different things, and they're practical in that sense, but they don't do any of those things extremely well. Combat utility knives like the Randall, the SOG, the Cable, they're not specifically designed for killing or fighting. They're not necessarily specifically designed for hunting and skinning or camp chores. They're made to do it all. And they're more of a multi-tool than a specialized tool, even though this is called the special purpose fighter. And you know, they're made to open packages, cut up food, skin animals, camp tasks. But they just don't do it all very well. And to me, they don't even do the job of fighting or killing very well. To me, if you want a good fighting knife, there was a couple ways you can go. And if you want a fixed blade, I wouldn't necessarily get a 7-inch fighting knife. If you're military or civilian, depending on your fighting style. And I'm talking mostly about a Western fighting style. I wouldn't get a 7-inch blade. I would get, in a fixed blade, a Bowie. This has a false edge, it's a Cold Steel Laredo Bowie. It no longer comes with a sheath, but you can get around that. This one is a little bit meatier, a little bit heavier. The advantage that the Bowie has over the combat utility knife is that it gives you plenty of reach, a lot of chopping apparel, and if on a utility roll, you can do a lot of chopping with it. Use it as a machete if you need to cut some branches, maybe make a little blind or something. You can do a whole lot more stuff with this that you can't necessarily do with a combat utility knife. If you want something a little bit more specialized in the killing or fighting role, you can get a fighting Bowie. This is a Bagwell Gambler, and you can get custom versions of these made. And this is very lightweight, has a sharpened false edge, double guard, just like the Randall or the Laredo. And this also, it's a lighter weight, it's better balanced, but you can also use this to, you know, as a light machete, doing some small chopping tasks. And you can still use it if you need to hunt or do hunting type tasks, skinning and such. To me, it's a better way to go if you're going to do a fixed blade, to do a Bowie knife or even a kukri, which kukris generally don't tend to be as sharp, so they're not as good at skinning, although you can skin with them. But their chopping capability, they're like an axe, but you can't miss with it. You can't miss with a kukri. And when it comes to killing, with a kukri or with a Bowie, they have more stopping power than a combat utility knife. So to me, Randall made knives, or the Randall fighting knives, the cables and SOG knives, they just don't have the stopping power that I would like in a fighting knife. But I know why they make combat utility knives, and it has a lot to do with the people using them. The military or the Marines. This is from what I've read about Marines and knife use. They don't want to carry 5 different knives for 5 different uses. They're very practical people, and if they can get away with carrying just 1 or 2 knives to do everything they want to do, like maybe a combat utility knife and a Swiss Army knife, they're going to do that because it's simpler and it's less weight and it's just practical. But the thing is, the combat utility knife does lack in stopping power, and it's performance. What else would I carry other than a combat utility knife? Now, talking more of this does attain to military, but also attains to civilian life. I can much easily carry a 5.5-inch photo, which gives you just as much reach as a combat utility knife. I can easily carry this folding knife a lot easier than I can carry this fixed blade. Get the same amount of reach, the same amount of cutting capability and stopping power. And this knife cost, what was it? I want to say about $50. I can't remember. Well, this is the Osate version. But let's say $50 to $75. This is $555. This gets the job done just as easily as the Randall, and it's a lot more carryable. Let's see, I'm trying to make this video as quickly as possible because the last time I filmed this video, it was very long, so let me move along. That rhymed, but that's okay. Now let's talk about something that's an option. If you want to carry a Randall-made knife in a civilian setting, there's pretty much two ways you can go. You can get a Southern Comfort sheath, which is basically this same style of sheath, but with Kydex or Securex. Or you can buy a shoulder rig harness, and you can carry it in that way, concealed with a jacket. So that's an option. So a lot of things you would hear about Randalls and fighting knives. Oh, they're good knives, but you can never carry them when you need them. That's what the civilians have going on for them. Also, the belt loop sheath isn't necessarily the most MOLLE compatible thing you can use. There are ways to rig it. But I feel that if you want a Randall style knife and you're not necessarily going into battle, which this is good because it has the false edge, it can do the back cut, but let's just say you want a Randall style knife and you're not going to fight with it, and this is going to be more of a hunting knife or a camp knife, I think you'll be better off with the Blackjack number 17. Basically has the same blade. It's a Randall made knife, but it's a lot cheaper. It's around $100, $150. It has a convex grind and edge. No, it has a swedge, not a false edge. Same hilt or gold as the Randall number 1. So if you want something that looks like a Randall and for camp and hunting type task, this is a lot better way to go. It's a much better value, and it still looks cool. It still has the Randall look to it. This is really, really expensive, and I was kind of let down when I got it. Anytime you buy a super expensive knife, you think it has these mystical qualities, but most often than not, they don't. And this is not Excalibur. It's not mystical, magical, super in any way. It's just expensive. And I think if you're gonna get a Randall knife, as for a civilian / collector, which there's nothing wrong with collecting Randall knives, but I think you'll be better off with their hunting knives. I think they're more practical. I think they do a better job at what they're designed to do. There are some. I love the Bushmaster right there. If I was a professional hunter, I would probably have that one. This is another one that I like. Randall also makes some Bowie knives, but those are more of collector's pieces. I wouldn't necessarily carry those as my self-defense Bowie. To me, they're not made right. But yeah, I think the hunting knives will actually be more practical or designed better to do the tasks that they're designed for than their fighting knives. And plus, when you're a hunter, you have the convenience of wearing it on your belt openly without raising eyebrows or without getting in the way as well. Let's see what all the bases I covered. I'm sorry, last video was a little bit long. I think that's mostly it. Oh yeah, let's talk about the advantages of the Randall. What niche does the Randall find itself in the knife collecting and using community? It's well made. It's hand forged in the U.S. The fighting knives generally have a false edge on them, and the knives that don't have a false edge, like the hunting knives, are also well made and hand forged. But who benefits from the Randall made knife mostly? To me, there's a particular type of person that collects Randall made knives, and this might sound a little odd, and that is the rich white guy that likes to hunt in Africa. I'm not trying to be racist there. It's just minorities or ethnic people can collect Randall made knives, but in my research, searching up Randall made knives and looking and talking to people who collect Randall made knives, there was a very specific type of guy that buys Randall made knives, and they'll usually have a lot of money because they Randall made knives are expensive, and they either display them or they're hunters, and it's usually the hunters that actually go around using the knife, as opposed to the other people who collect the buoys and the fighting knives don't normally use them. There's a few military people who still use the Randall made knife. I would encourage them to get something better, because you can definitely get something a lot better for the money. I mean, this is like 150, 200. That's 550. A lot more stopping power and a lot more practical for different tasks than the combat utility knife. But yeah, most people who buy Randall made knives are collecting them and displaying them, and or trying to resell them for a profit. Also, something to mention: if you buy a Randall made knife from factory, it's a lot cheaper. But it's going to take about 5 to 6 years for you to get that knife. You can get it custom made, with your handle choice and maybe the blade length that you want it to be at. But it takes 5 years for you to get it. So you usually end up paying a premium to get it now, to get it from a dealer or from eBay, a secondary market. So that's it. I hope you have a great day. Personally, I'm a little bit disappointed in the Randall. It wasn't this mystical, magical thing that I thought it would be when I bought it. It's just a knife, a well-made knife, but a very expensive knife. And to me, the usefulness of the knife and the price of the knife don't match up. So that's it. Hope y'all have a great day. I'm a Satsu 5, and I'm out.